Good morning and welcome. SimWorld today here on this Thursday, July 25th. Our Olympics countdown continues. Some Olympic activity yesterday, some preliminary matches between some soccer and some rugby or football, if you will. USA takes a beating at the hands of France, continuing their ineptitude on the pitch. That's not where we're going today. We will be doing plenty of that tomorrow morning with Rick Blaze as the official Olympics and the rest of the Olympics gets rolling. I'm Marsh, joined this morning by Jason. JK, what's going on, man?
I'm great, Marsh. You said the countdown to the Olympics. For me, it's been the countdown to the SWFL season. I don't know about you. We only got 7 days or 7 weeks until that September 5th opening matchup between the Chiefs and the Ravens. And I don't know about you, but I'm so excited for that.
It should be a dandy. That's not what we're talking about today, though. Certainly glad that SWFL is coming back because we've so far avoided the typical slosh of summer inactivity. We're still in the tail end of it, but plenty more to come. We're going to start with a couple pitches on the diamond, and then we're going to talk some SimWorld U yet again. Let's start with Mike Trout, as he is going to be leaving his rehab assignment and have his surgically repaired knee reevaluated. He had a torn meniscus early on in the season that he is now rehabbing. He did not play on Wednesday. He left the game early on Tuesday. It was supposed to be the last two tune-up games before his return to the big league club. Um, that's not a great sign, and this continues to be one of the most, let's say, disappointing superstar careers, JK, that we've had in baseball. Your thoughts on not only the injury but the future of Mike Trout in Los Angeles?
My heart really does break for Mike Trout. Mike Trout's been a guy that I've had the luxury of being able to grow up watching, and he's been phenomenal. He's been dazzling every time, every single time he steps into the box. He is a guy that I think will go down as one of the best players to ever play Major League Baseball or SWLB baseball. And Mike Trout is 32 years old now, has not had a lick of playoff success. He's a three-time MVP, Marsh. This guy just can't stay healthy, hasn't played over 100 games. He's played over 100 games once since 2019. He's a guy that if he could stay healthy, I think we'd be talking about his career in such a different light. He's a guy that is transcendent. He can hit homers, he can steal bases, he's can hit for good average. He's a five-tool player in every single facet, but he can't do the most important thing, and that's stay healthy. And that's really crucial because it's kind of sad watching the Angels because they had Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani, two of the greatest players in Major League in the SWLB, two of the greatest players in SWLB history, and they didn't win anything. Like, how do you let that happen? How inept is that front office?
Well, certainly the injuries have been as of late. Last two seasons have been less than ideal for him. Missed 82, played in 82 games because of a broken Hamat bone. Year before that, was on the IL for 5 weeks with a back injury. Year before that was strained calf muscle in 2021. This season hasn't been much better. But prior to the injury, hitting 220, which somehow is like still almost average in the new world of professional baseball, 10 homers, 14 RBIs in 29 games. Um, I, it's very sad. One, this guy would never sniff an MVP vote if this were basketball. He's certainly not washed up because you go back to the 2022 season, or at least he shouldn't be, where he hit 283, finished eighth in MVP voting, hit 40 home runs with 80 RBIs. But baseball has this weird way of just boiling people out exceptionally fast. And I think that's a credit to, not a good credit, but that's a credit to the new world of baseball that we live in, where it's just the game is just not nearly the same of what it was even a decade ago. With the dominance of the pitcher, I mean, is the league batting average is 243. That's one of the lowest in SWLB history, going back more than a century. Uh, but to Mike Trout, he would have been long gone if this were basketball. You're right about the ineptitude of this organization when they had both Shohei and Mike Trout on the same roster, and they still couldn't win. Um, they've paid guys big money to do absolutely nothing, and Mike Trout is now just the latest in that. It is frustrating to watch. It's frustrating to see because in any other sport, these two would become plastered. I think plastered all over professional or national TV. I think baseball has done a very poor job of showcasing their stars on national television, and making them available outside of All-Star games, outside of local broadcasts, even if that has improved with their league pass equivalent. But if he were healthy, we'd be calling for a trade. But it is most certainly a disappointment to see the current state of Mike Trout, where he has gone from inarguably the best player in baseball to now just kind of a footnote on the baseball season, JK.
Absolutely. It's a long season and the Angels have had a disaster season. They've struggled in what I would call one of the weaker divisions in the AL West, but they don't really have very much going for them. They call their prospects up too fast. They have a couple of guys that are showing some promise, like Logan O'Hoppe, but they're not primed to win anytime soon.
No, they're not. Primed to win yesterday, though not in most of the season, were the Colorado Rockies as they put up 20 runs on the Boston Red Sox, a 38-win Colorado Rockies team against a 54-win Boston Red Sox team. 20-7. They hit one, two, three, four home runs, including a grand slam in the sixth inning. They jumped early. They scored at least 2 runs in 5 different innings. They scored at least 1 run in 6 different innings. This was a just absolute massacre for the Colorado Rockies. I'm not sure there's much to take away from this outside of just saying, holy moly, somebody scored 20 runs in a baseball game.
I actually disagree with you.
Let's hear it.
This looks like an SWFL score for
Well, yeah.
starters. I think you're gonna agree with me on that. But I gotta give some credit where it's due for these July stats for Rockies center fielder Brenton Doyle. Doyle hit the grand slam yesterday for the Rockies, has 9 homers in the month of July, hitting 373 with a 1306 OPS in the month of July in 18 games. That's no slouch, dude.
No, it's not. But the Colorado Rockies aren't a good baseball team.
Not at all. But they
This,
have they ha-
go ahead.
they can have baseball sail at Coors Field. We
Yeah.
know all about the the dimensions of Coors Field and how the baseball being played there is affected by this. And Coors Field got another masterful hitting performance yesterday, but just wait until Charlie Condon, the number 3 overall pick in the recent SWLB draft, comes to Colorado. He has light tower power. He's gonna have a lot of fun playing at Coors Field, Marsh.
Well, you're right. Coors Field is just the perfect place to go nuts. Of course, plenty of big time power hitters have gone to Coors Field and then they've left Coors Field and it's been the ultimate struggle. So we'll see. I'll be curious how that ends up panning out. It's an unfair thing for the Rockies and their stars. But this is just baseball, man. I mean, you can look, the Sox losing 2 of 3 to the Rockies. Again, a 38 win Rockies team that has no interest or no real pursuit of the postseason. Not a great look, especially for a Red Sox team that is trying to battle their way into the last wild card spot, outside chance of getting up to the American League East lead. Um, it's not a good look. I think there's going to be a little bit of a concern here for the Red Sox because they get just absolutely decimated by the Dodgers. They get swept there. And then this was supposed to be the tune-up game for a huge series this weekend against the New York Yankees. And instead, they lay an egg. They lose in 12 innings in the opener on Monday and then last night. So it's not a positive sign for a Red Sox team trying to turn things around here for the stretch run. And it's not going to get much easier. You got the Yankees, you got the Seahawks, and football's on the mind. The Mariners coming up at home over the next 6, get a little respite going to Texas um, to kick off August. But this was supposed to be a series to get right, and they got wrong. All right, let's head to SimWorld U, where we're just kind of doing a little bounce around. Arthur Lattimore, we haven't heard his name talked about too much lately. It's worth bringing up as he heads to Texas Longhorns. We talked yesterday about Miami. Today we're talking Texas. This is a really nice roster. JK. You've got Vincent Magic and Anthony Young. Young was just the sharpshooter for this squad last season. He's been the great SimWorld prep sharpshooter of old out of Austin, Texas. Chris Yardley had a nice SimWorld prep career as well. Your thoughts on Arthur Lattimore's fit and what his role might be for the squad moving forward?
I love this fit for Arthur Lattimore. He's a guy that can give you everything you need on the court. He can he can rebound, he can be a go-to scorer, and I think he'll fit really well with Vincent Magic. Vincent Magic is one of the better facilitators from the SimWorld prep
Yep.
ranks, and he transitions to SimWorld U where he's playing with one of the best forwards in SimWorld prep and Arthur Lattimore. Lattimore can is gonna have a great season at Texas. He can shoot the three well. He can play inside. Arthur Lattimore is a versatile player, and I expect him to be one of the biggest risers in potential SWBA draft talks for the upcoming draft because Arthur Lattimore, people are sleeping on Texas, I think, a little bit. They have one of the best recruiting classes in the country. But here's what I make of it, Marsh. I think that Texas, not Kansas, is the team to beat in the Big 12 this season. Kansas is good with Charles Pinkard and Nas Hall, but with Arthur Lattimore and Vincent Magic, you can't convince me that anybody's better than them in that conference.
Well, push back on Arthur Lattimore being a three-point shooter. He shot 22%, only made six of them, so he's not high volume and he's not high efficient when he does. I think that's the one part of Lattimore's game that needs to be improved upon. He does so many other things well. And it goes back to that season at Cascadia where a lot of people were like, well, big numbers, bad team, man. Who really cares? Now, were those concerns acquiesced with Lone Star? Not really. They went 14 and 17. They played better to close out the season, winning five of their last or four of their last five games. Um, but Lattimore, I think that's the one spot that he needs to work on. I think this is a benefit of the 2-year requirement for players in SimWorld U is they have to spend 2 years in at the team. That gives Arthur 2 seasons to become a better three-point shooter because that's the one gap in his game, in my opinion. Especially if he's not going to be a traditional big man at 6'9". He's probably going to be more of a guy you want to see at the power forward position in the Amari Stoudemire role. But even Amari could get rolling from deep, but he also played in a much different period. As far as best team in the Big 12, Nas Hall is a great basketball player. I've had my reservations about Nas Hall's efficiency. I thought he really turned it on last season. He was a lot more efficient to close out the year than he was the year before, the season before. I think it's a good fit. I think it's going to be a very interesting division. The Big 12 has plenty of talent there. Oklahoma's not going to be one that's going to walk away. We'll certainly spend our time talking about the future there
Pseudo
with
Chapa.
Suno Chopin in-house. I think there's going to be plenty of opportunity for some of these teams, especially with Jace Miguez. We can't sleep on Jace Miguez. His 1 year at SimWorld Prep was a dynamic playmaker. And so Suno Chapa getting a chance to pair up with him, I think, is absolutely huge, along with Deonta Trice. But I think
But you're forgetting
Texas,
about Carson Cupworth, who's headed to Oklahoma in the season.
yes, he will be here, but I'm not, that's a year from now, right? So we're not talking, we're talking year to come, not 2 years to come, right? Because Carson Cupworth still has another year of SimWorld Prep. Am I wrong on that?
Absolutely not. But
Right.
Carson
So I mean,
Cupworth,
but
another
look, we
elite
can't we
playmaker
can't
for Suno
preview next
Chapa.
season. We can't preview next season and be like, yeah, but what about 2 seasons from now? Like, I mean, now if we're just going to start previewing 2 seasons from now, it's going to be a big waste of time because we're going to have no idea what the heck's going to even happen this season. So yeah, it's a great long-term acquisition for Oklahoma, for Suno Chaba, for Carson Cupworth, but I'm going to pump the brakes on really being caring too much about that for the season to come. All told, Texas and Arthur Lattimore, I think is it's the best signing that they've gotten since Kevin Durant. He's going to be an
High
exceptional star. I
praise.
still think he needs to be a little bit better as a three-point shooter. I don't think that's not a negative. I'm not saying that to be, ooh, he's so good, but not all the way. No, he's really good. If he has a flaw, it's that. And we've seen in order to be an all NBA, all SWBA Olympic type athlete, you address your flaws, right? Steph Curry's flaw, couldn't play defense, addressed it. LeBron James' flaw, wasn't a great three-point shooter, addressed it. Those are the two best players on Team USA. Arthur Lattimore, in order to reach that level, I just think he needs to add that. But every other part of his game, you are infatuated with, you salivate over, and you just get excited. And to your point about pairing with Vincent Magic, fantastic call, because that is going to be the type of playmaker that he, no offense to the squad at Lone Star, I think Vincent Magic's the better playmaker than anyone that he had at Lone Star. Again, good players at Lone Star, good playmakers there, but Vincent Magic, different level in terms of SimWorld prep
I
production.
I hate to cut you off, Marsh, but you make a great point there. Arthur Lattimore, we all know what he's capable of. You're not bashing him. You're not saying he needs to shoot 45% from three on high volume. You're saying if he just can shoot consistent numbers from beyond the arc, then he'll be the one of the most dangerous players in SimWorld U.
It,
I completely
yep.
understand your point, and I want to make sure the viewers at home understand your point as well.
Well, I think here's the thing: as we transition and we see more SimWorld U, SimWorld BA, we need to understand that it's not about being okay. It's a prep guy. He's got things to do. This is positive. It's you got to start looking at it from a critical sense, and it can't just all be puppies and roses about guys' production, right? We're getting to the real part, man, and maybe this is something I'll have to explore on an individual podcast, but we're getting to the real part of basketball careers, right? We're getting to the real part where you've got to be productive. You've got to be um, efficient. You can't have a hole in your game and not expect it to get exposed at the next level and not expect it to be the point of contention for oppositions moving forward. Yes, SimWorld Prep had the opportunity for guys to explore their games. That's why I'm a big proponent of the 10-man roster. It's also why I'm a big proponent. I'm not actually that upset by the 8-man roster. I'm also a big proponent of more minutes for the best players that need that chance to kind of explore their basketball games. I think Arthur Lattimore's chance now at SimWorld U, he's fantastic. He needs to become a serviceable three-point shooter. He doesn't have to be 40%. He doesn't have to be 38. If he's in the 35, 36% range, his game completely changes all parts of
Remember, he's
him.
only 18 years old.
Yeah,
There's so much room for growth. It's a
there is.
similar case to a guy like Kevon Jackson or Benari James.
Yep, there's going to be a lot of growth here in this coming SimWorld U season. That is our show. We're going to be back with you tomorrow morning. Rick Blaze back on the show. We'll talk some Olympics. We'll talk some training camps, and we'll talk all the other news that's going on. JK, appreciate you joining us the last 2 days. We'll talk to you again next week. Appreciate our viewers tuning in here on SimWorld today. We'll be back on camera tomorrow, so appreciate you waiting through the audio-only versions of these shows. We'll catch you again first thing in the morning on SimWorld TV, the only place you can see the game, be the game.